Hello Yashasvi. Can you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Hi, Muskan. First of all, thank you for inviting me. So, a little bit about myself. My name is Yashasvi Ghadale, and I'm currently a third year undergraduate student. I'm doing my BTech in Engineering Physics from IIT Delhi. I also work with a not for profit organization, which is Aspire for Her, as their learning and technology lead. And I was awarded the Google Generation Scholarship last year. That is 20, the 2020 scholarship.
Thank you. I have seen even in my college, many of the girls are not even aware what is Generation Google Scholarship, and some of them confuse it with the WTEF scholarship. I think that was its name like some 2 years back. So can you give us a briefly tell us that what is the scholarship all about?
Sure. So there are actually multiple scholarships that Google runs. Earlier, it used to run the Women Tech Maker Scholarship, and they renamed it to the Google Generation Scholarship only last year. So last year was the first time that the Google Generation Scholarship was awarded. They also run a Women Engineer Scholarship, the Talent Sprint, which was originally called the WTEF, the Women Tech Makers Engineering
Okay.
Fellowship Program. So that was there. The Google Generation Scholarship is mainly for women who are interested in computer science and who want to contribute to the community and are passionate about, increasing the representation of underrepresented groups in the field of technology and computer science.
Okay. Okay. So it's the WTEF scholarship, just the name has been changed, right?
Yeah, so they don't run the WTM scholarship in India anymore. It's just the Google
Okay.
Generation Scholarship.
Okay. So, last year, how did you come across the scholarship? That okay, this is the scholarship that is there by Google. How did you come to know?
So since actually this was run for the first time, I did not know that there was going to be something like the Google Generation Scholarship. However, one of the past scholars and one of my seniors,
Hmm.
she's actually from IIT Guwahati. Her name is Vedika Kulkarni. She had conducted a session just like this, and she was talking about the Women Tech Maker Scholarship. So she was a WTM scholar, and she
Hmm.
was talking about the entire procedure and how you should apply, and she told us that the applications would be released. Applications would open around February to March. So that was the time when I actually went onto the website and checked, and instead of the WTM scholarship, the Google Generation Scholarship was
Okay.
open for applications. So that's
Hmm.
how.
Okay, and I think this year they have opened the scholarship applications a bit early. Like
Yeah,
it's open right now, and
yeah,
I think it's closing on 10th of December.
10th of December, right?
Okay. So, Yashasvi, what are the various steps of the application? Like, your essay is there and your resume is there, and after that, what are the various steps that you went through, like, until the
Sure.
last stage?
So, first of all, the first stage is obviously the application stage, where you will be
Hmm.
required to fill in some very basic personal information. You will be required to submit a college transcript, and you will be required to attach your resume. Then, after that, you also have to submit two essays. So, last year also there were two essays. The essays are based on a problem statement or a question that they give, and then you have to write, say, 400 or 500 words about that. So, those are the two essays that you need to submit. This is the first round of the application process.
Hmm.
Then, after the screening, I think they call for the coding round, which happened, I think, around 1 month after the application process ended for us. So this was an online test, and it involved first of all a computer science section. There was a language section that is testing your English and your language skills, and then there was a mental ability section. So those were the three broad sections that were there for the online exam. Within the computer science section, I think they mostly focused on data structures and algorithms and some basic programming concepts. The test was also available only in C and C++. So that is one thing that I did not know about, but it would be great if juniors know about this. So right.
Hmm. Okay, and what was the difficulty level? Because I think this year only second year girls are allowed to apply. Like last year it was first year and second year.
Yes.
This year only second year. So what is the difficulty level of the exam that they can expect?
Actually, they've been changing the eligibility criteria quite a
Hmm.
lot. So last year
Yeah.
it was first and second year students, and it was only for BTech undergraduates. This
Hmm.
time they've opened it for all undergraduates who are pursuing computer
Okay.
science and related fields. So even people maybe doing BS or a BSc can also apply.
Okay.
uh, this time it's only for second year students. And also, a very interesting point is that in the eligibility criteria, they have not mentioned that the applicant should identify as a female. So we are
Okay.
still not sure about if or not, boys can also apply for the scholarship. But they do mention at the top of the website that it's for women. So we're not really
Okay.
sure. So like,
Not
if
really sure. Yeah.
boys also want to apply, they can like write to them and get some clarification. So
Correct.
coming to the difficulty level, I think it was not very difficult. It was the level was moderate, between easy and moderate only. And if I talk about the mental ability section, if you've prepared for, let's say, competitive exams in your school, where the mental ability section is typically there, for example, like the NTSE exam, then you would be able to crack that section pretty easily. The English section was
Yeah.
also between easy to moderate level only, and even the computer science section, same goes for that also.
Yeah, because they're second years, they're not expecting much out of them.
Exactly.
And as far as I remember, like I think the exam was not compulsory also. Like they mentioned if like they can give, but it was not compulsory
I
last
think
year.
it was like everybody
Hmm.
had to attempt the examination, but they gave more weightage to the essays than the coding
Yeah.
test. So
Hmm.
your essays are, at least last year that this was the case. So your essays are
Yes.
really important in the application process. Your essays and your resume, and then comes the coding test. So they actually use that as a supplement fact to the fact that you are interested in computer science. They don't take only the top scorers in the coding test, but they take people who have written very nice answers, but have also performed good in the computer science exam, the coding test.
Coding test. Exactly. Okay. And like, are there any important topics, specific DSA important topics that were there that you observed in the coding assessment?
I very advanced topics like trees and hash maps and all were not asked. They
Were not
only asked
asked.
like
Hmm.
basic concepts only. So yeah, they don't expect very advanced knowledge.
Okay. So, as we know that essays are one of the most important part of this application procedure, and like, what tips would you like to give for the applicants that are applying this year for the essays? Like, how can they make their essay stand out from the others?
Sure. So I think the most important factor while you're writing an essay is the ability to write it in the form of a story. So it's like you're telling a story, and everything that you're mentioning in your essays needs to be very well connected, and it has to be, if it's personal, it's the best case, because if you're adding a little personal touch to it, it becomes very authentic. And it's, if it's something that you deeply care about, and if it's an issue that you strongly believe in, then that really creates an impact. So I would
Impact.
suggest that while writing the essays, don't like start 1 or 2 days before the application deadline. Start at least 2 to 3 weeks before that. So now would be a good time to start thinking about the problem statements, start thinking about the questions, and at least putting down your thoughts on a piece of paper or on a Google Doc. Just give time into thinking about that problem. What exactly is the problem? Try to question yourself. Have you ever faced something like this? For example, like this time, I think one of the problem statements is, uh, what is one challenge that women in the women
Community
in
have
computer
faced.
science face, right?
Yeah.
So think about it from your own perspective. Write down
Hmm.
anything that's coming to your mind. Then maybe talk to some people who are in the computer science field. Talk to them about what challenges they are facing. Write what is the scale of the problem and how that problem needs to be addressed. So just write your views about it, okay? And once you have everything, like, it's very important to keep noting down everything while you're spending time thinking about the problem, because otherwise later you will forget everything. So just keep noting down all these points, and at the end you can frame it all into an essay as an answer. And before submitting, get it reviewed by, say, past scholars or your friends or your professors or teachers. Take their feedback and then make your essay better depending on that. Also, don't ever exceed the word limit.
Word
Check your
limit, yeah.
essays for grammatical errors. Check and double check. There should be no grammatical errors and no spelling errors. You can use Grammarly for the same. Also, if if you want to, if there's any place where you feel like you can attach an image that is not like some picture you've taken from the internet, but something that is related to you, you can include that too. You can include some links also, but don't like fill your essay answer with links and
With the
pictures.
links.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also, like, I wanted to tell that some of the girls, like I talked to, they said that they have not faced any problem, like in like till now. So what should they write? Because as everyone is suggesting to write their own story, so I'd
Hmm.
like to suggest that you do not have to face a big problem. Like, okay, I faced a major problem. It can be a very small problem also. For example, there were 50 boys in your class and there were just 5 girls, and you are shy and you were not able to like put your views forward. So this can also be a problem, which is actually a very big problem in the tech industry. So this can be a very simple problem. So yeah, it
I
might be
completely
small for
agree.
you,
Completely agree.
but for them it is very important problem, the person who is reading
Exactly. So it's important that whatever you're
it.
writing, you deeply resonate with that. So once that happens, obviously, like if you write about something that you don't care about, then when they
Hmm.
ask about it during your interviews, you won't be able
Yeah,
to give an answer. So however small it is, however you feel that okay, this is not significant or insignificant, this is
hmm.
insignificant, still mention that. It might mean a lot to them.
Exactly. Okay. Then the next question is like after this it was coding assessment and then after this it was an interview, right? With a
Yeah.
Googler. Okay,
Yeah.
so can you tell us about your interview experience and was it technical or non-technical?
Right. So I think the interviews happened again 1 month after the coding round,
Hmm.
and we were sent emails and we were called to a Google Meet. And my interviewer was actually from the HR team.
Okay,
So my interview was not strictly technical, although there were some scholars who had a little bit of a technical interview.
technical
But
interview.
my personal interview wasn't really technical. I was asked questions like, first of all, I was asked to introduce myself. And then I was asked questions like, why do you want to become a Google Generation Scholar?
Hmm.
What are some projects that you've worked on? And can you tell a little bit about your projects? She also asked me about what are my future plans and where do I see myself in, say, the next 5 or 10 years. I There was also a question about what would you do if you become a Google scholar. So, what
Google.
are your goals and what are your plans after you receive the scholarship? So, yes, those were the questions, and it lasted for about 30 minutes.
30 minutes. So like applicants, like if you guys reach to the interview, like till the interview stage, you should prepare some of these common questions beforehand so that you're not stuck at that point. Yeah. And
Some
also I
more, I think, common questions that are asked during interviews are, what would you do with the scholarship money? And what is something that what is a problem that you have faced? So it's there in the essay question also, but they
essays
can ask
question.
it again during the interview as well.
Hmm.
So that's there. And then they would rarely ask, like, you to solve a coding problem. That
Coding
mostly won't
problem.
be there. They want to know more about you, and they want to see how motivated you are, how confident you are, and what are the other skills that you have. How are your communication skills? So your academic records and all your technical skills are reflected in your resume. Now they want to look at your soft skills. So you might want to focus on your communication skills and how you present yourself, and how clear are you about your future plans and goals.
Okay, and also I think they can ask questions from essay. Suppose I mentioned something in my essay. What I mean to say is that you should write your essays honestly because if you are dishonest in your essays, even if you reach till the interview stage, they will catch you, I think.
True, true. Completely agree.
So after that, I think resume is one of the most important part of this scholarship. So what are your tips that the applicants that can make their resume stand out?
Sure. So for the resume, I think I'll tell how I had made
Hmm.
my resume, and probably
Okay.
that will be able to help. So I'll tell what the major sections were in my resume.
Hmm.
First of all, there has to be a scholastic achievement section where you will
Okay.
list all your academic, achievements. Let's say if you've cracked any Olympiads or if you've gotten any previous scholarships, if you have, topped any exams or any competitions, you can
Hmm.
mention all of that over there. Then there's first of all like your education section where you mention your current degree, your 12th marks and your 10th marks. Then after that comes the scholastic achievement section. After that, you can have, let's say, a project section where you mention any projects you've done. They could be very small projects also. They necessarily don't have to be exactly, hardcore technical projects. It could also be something that, maybe you did with an NGO, and you were just trying to build a very simple technology solution for somebody. So it could be something as simple as that as well. You could also mention, say, any course projects that you've done. You could mention let's say, if you've done Coursera courses and if you've done assignments and projects there, you can mention that. If you've participated in hackathons, you can mention that. If you've done any projects as a part of hackathons or any competitions, you can mention that too. All of that is counted. And then after that, you can have a technical skill section where you mention, like, what are the programming languages that you're proficient in, what softwares and other things like that. Then there could be extracurricular activities or volunteering slash positions of responsibility section where you mention what are the other things that you've been doing for the community apart from your academics. This is also very important because they look at this to test your leadership skills, because this is the your resume is the first thing that they'll see, and they'll shortlist you based on this. So you should highlight your leadership skills if you've had any leadership roles, if you've contributed to the community, especially if you've worked towards uplifting the underrepresented groups. That really, really helps. If you've volunteered, if you've had any other volunteering positions, then you can mention those as well. If you've been active in, let's say, your college societies or college clubs, and if you've had, let's say, any experience with sports or culturals, you can mention all of that also, but like don't make.
Non-technical also they can
Yeah,
mention.
yeah, you can write the non-technical stuff also, that also helps.
Okay. Okay. That was nice.
Also,
Okay.
it
So.
would be
Hmm.
preferable if you have a one page resume. However, if you feel like you are cutting down on good experiences that you want to highlight because of the restriction of the one page, you can extend it a little bit to the second page also, but a one page resume is preferable.
Yeah, just one thing I'd like to add, like add stats to your resume. Suppose you've made a project, just add how many people it impacted. I think that also like gives an edge.
True, true.
Yeah, and the other question was, does my college GPA matters, like, or my college grade will matter in the shortlisting procedure?
To be honest, like, I don't know all the stats. I mean, I don't know
Hmm.
all the grades like people had, the ones who got shortlisted. But having a good GPA does really
GPA is
play a role. It contributes if you have a really good CGPA. However, I don't think like they are, very nitpicky. Okay, will take only 9 plus or 8.5 plus students. So, for example, I had a GPA of 8. So I was still shortlisted. So I think if you have anything above 8, then that's well and good. If you have like if your essays are very good and if you have a very holistic kind of a profile, then I think that can complement for your grades as well.
Great. I think there's some cutoff of 6 or something that they mentioned in the website. I'm not really sure about it, but I think apart from that, they've not mentioned grades anywhere.
Right.
So, Yashasvi, apart from the scholarship amount, what are the other perks that you received after getting the scholarship?
Okay, so first of all, we got this very nice swag kit. So we got
Okay,
goodies from Google. There was
I
like,
saw the LinkedIn posts.
yeah. So there was a Google Nest, Google Home, and there was a very nice bag. There was a journal, there was pens and badges, and there was a very nice, very cool water bottle that also shows the temperature of the water. So yeah, that
Okay.
was the kit we that was a welcome kit we got. And then a few weeks after that, there's the Google Scholars Retreat that happens. Usually it
Okay.
happens in person at a Google office. So like in 2019, I think it happened in Australia, and a year before that it happened in Singapore. So it happens
Hmm.
at one Google office within the Asia Pacific region. However, this time it did not happen because of the pandemic. So we had a virtual retreat. It was a 2 day retreat. Typically, it would be a 2 day retreat where leaders from Google would come and they would deliver talks about, let's say, leadership or what all they are doing. What are the things that Google is working on? What are the various areas that they're working on? And it would be like a very nice motivational 2 days for you. And
Yeah.
there would be coding rounds also. We would just sit and everybody would code. So that's there. Apart from that, there are also other resources. For example, they will keep sending you links to any Google coding contests that are happening. That's there. There's Google Kickstart, so they send you like competition links to that. There are some more resources that they give to you in terms of resume building and interview preparation and preparing for your internships and other things like that. Google scholars also get to sit for mock interviews with Googlers. So just
Okay.
before the
That's
internship,
really good.
yeah, because so just before the internship hiring period starts,
Hmm.
before the internship tests and all start, all the scholars will be connected with a Googler, and they will sit for a, let's say, 45-minute or a 1 hour interview,
Hmm.
mock interview. This will be like purely technical. So they'll give you two to
Okay.
three coding questions and you would solve that. And then they would give you feedback as to how you can improve and how you should perform in the actual interview. So that is like really helpful. And as a result of this, a lot of Google scholars also get to go to Google for their third year internships also.
Hmm.
So that's a really nice resource.
So I think I've asked all the questions that were with me. Anything else that you would like to suggest to the applicants that are applying this year? Because right now they have time for or about I think 1 month. More than
Yeah.
1 month they have. So anything else that you would like to suggest them?
I think you should really spend time before finally filling the application. You should really spend time on your essays and also while making your resume. So sometimes what happens is we forget that acha ye
Hmm.
we had this achievement also long back,
Yeah.
but it's a significant one. So like spend time, collect everything that you've done so far. What are the things that make you special and that make you stand out? Highlight those in your resume because these will be the ones that everyone has a good college grade or everyone has
Hmm.
a couple of projects. What is it that's making you stand out?
You
So
stand
collect
out.
those kind of points and put it in your resume well. Also, when you are writing your essays, don't mention things that you've already mentioned in your resume. So it has to have a very personal touch, and it has to tell the person who's reading the essays who you are apart from the person reflected in the resume. So
Yeah.
that's really important. And just be confident. Don't feel like I don't have a chance, because once you believe in yourself and once you're confident, you will be able to write answers that actually reflect that confidence. So be confident and get your answers reviewed by as many seniors as you can. Submit well before the deadline. Don't wait for the like 11th hour.
True.
And yeah, if anybody wants my help also in reviewing, I would be happy to help. You can connect with me on LinkedIn.
I'll put Yashasvi's LinkedIn in the description below. You can connect with her if you want your essays to be reviewed, but just make sure that you give her proper time. It's not like 10th is the last date and you are asking, okay, just review my essay on 9th. So,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, thank you so much, Yashasvi.